my channel. Today I'm doing a tag. I saw this tag on LizziefayeLovesBooks. It is called I Never Book Tag, and there are 10 questions and I will answer the questions the best I can. So let's go with the questions. So question number 1. I never read that. Name a book that you've never read that everyone else has. So I picked up a middle grade book off my son's shelf, and this book I have not read yet, but I did see the movie, so I know what the book's about, and I really want to read it, and one day I will. And the book is The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. No, I have not read anything by Rick Riordan yet. I own the whole Lightning Thief series, and I own the next one, and I own a lot of his books. Actually my son does. It's on my son's shelf. Yeah, so I'm hoping to one day pick this up and read it. So that's the first book. Now, since I did a middle grade book, I wanted to do a classic that I never read that everybody has read, and it comes up a lot. And there's another book that I never read. And I'm just afraid. I don't really like classics, so I'm hard. But I do own the book. It's this one, Jane Eyre, by Charlotte Bronte. I have not read this one. And I just opened up the book to look inside, and I was like, oh my God, look at that font. It's so tiny. I hate tiny fonts. But no, I have not read this book yet. So one day, we'll see. I own it. It's on my classic shelf. So... okay, question number 2. I never read anything so awesome. Name your favorite book. Now, I tried to pick my favorite book. It's really, really hard. I have a lot of favorites, so I had to narrow it down. I went to my bookshelf, and I was like, okay, I need a YA book, and I need an adult book. So I picked a YA book, and my YA choice was Angel Fall by Susan E. This one I could not put down. It's about angels. It's very graphic. It's not your happy angels. It is dark angels. I read this on my Kindle. I got it free from Amazon. I think it was Amazon Kindle free or whatever. And I read it there. And then after I finished reading the book, I had to buy the book. So this is on my shelf. And also my daughter read this one, and she needed the physical copy because you have to carry, in middle grade, you have to carry your own physical copy. So I had to buy the book. So this is on my shelf. This is very, very good, but very dark. So yes. So that's that one. Now I picked a favorite adult book. Now this one, I like to read erotica, and I like to read thrillers. And this one is a combination of thriller and erotica. And once I started this book last summer, I could not put it down, and yeah, it kept my attention. So this is this one, The Girl in 6E. It has lots of sexual content in it, so if you don't like that, I wouldn't suggest picking it up. But there is a thriller aspect, and there's a story to it. I really, really enjoyed it. I could not put this down, and yeah, so that's that one. Okay, question number 3. Up to 3. I never thought I would get through it. Name a book that you didn't like but powered through it anyway. This is a very, very popular YA book. I don't really know why it's so popular. I picked it up because everybody on YouTube is reading it, and I read it, and I was like, why is everybody giving this 5 stars? It is not 5 stars. Well, to me it wasn't. The book is... I'll put the picture here because I do not own it. I took it out from the library when I first read it. It's Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I have read all Rainbow Rowell's books. Fangirl was my least favorite. Every time I got to the Simon parts, I would lose my train of thought, and I would feel like I was out of the story, and it just did not keep my attention. I went on Goodreads. I was like, why is everybody giving this 5 stars? I just couldn't see why it was a 5-star book. It was not a 5-star book. The Simon parts, and I've spoken to other people too, they skipped the Simon parts, and so did I. And when you skip pages in a book, that does not classify a 5-star book. A 5-star book is when you read it from cover to cover, and you read every single word, and you love the whole entire book. this book, I kept on skipping the assignment parts, and I did finally finish it. I gave it 2 stars, mainly because it aggravated me. I just couldn't feel, she should have wrote that book without the assignment parts in there, and maybe I probably would have liked it better. But yeah, so that was that one. It was a frustrating read, I tell you. Okay, question number 4. I will never finish that. Name a book or a series that you don't plan on finishing. This is a graphic novel that I picked up. I read books 1, 2, 3, and on book 4, I picked it up from the library and I started reading. I was like, what the heck am I doing? Why am I reading this series? So I stopped it, and I am not continuing it. It is the Saga series. It's right here. It is like reading porn fiction in pictures. There's lots of inappropriate pictures that I couldn't believe that teenagers are reading this. Yeah, so yeah. So I will not be continuing that series. So, okay, question number 5. I will never regret reading that. Name a book you read solely on a recommendation that you ended up really liking. This is a recent one. This is, I've been raving about this since I read it. It was on my 2016 reading list, and can you guess? It's The Help by, I don't know her name. So, so I'm going to just put the picture up here. I read this this year. And I really went into it, didn't think I was going to like it at all, and I really wind up liking it. So yeah, so that was a good one. And I also watched the movie, and the movie was pretty good as well. Okay, question number 6. I would never do that. Name a relatable book character who made choices you didn't agree with or did things you would never do. Okay, so I kept on thinking of an adult book, and I will do my adult book after the YA. So the first book that I had written in my journal, because I went flipping through, because I'm not character bound. I don't really remember part of my books. So the book that I got from YA that I read is Panic by Lauren Oliver. I'll put the picture here. It is about summer games. These teenagers do these strange things to win a lottery or some type of thing, and the contests that they did were like really strange rules and games that they had to play in order to win the contest. And all of those, I even wrote in my journal that I would never do some of those things that they did. So yeah. Okay, so the second one, you want to know my adult book? When I was doing this video and I was writing down my choices, there was a character that kept on popping up in my head. It is an adult erotica book. Yes. Very adult. The book is called Adultery, and I'll put it here. It's an adult book. It has sexual content, very explicit sex in there. Yeah. The main character cheats on her husband, and I would never do that. So, yeah. But that's the name of the book, Adultery. So, yeah. The book was good, but I would never do that. So, that's that one. Okay, number 7. I never wanted to admit it. Name a book that you were embarrassed to say you read or were embarrassed to carry around with you. Well, Adultery could be one of them. But also, the 3 books that I read, I couldn't find my Shades of Grey book, so I'm going to put the picture here. Shades of Grey and all the Shades of Grey books. I read all 3 of them. The first book I didn't really like. I gave it a 3-star. But the story did go on. I'm like, a lot of people haven't read this series, and I really enjoyed the 2nd and 3rd books. There was more of a story. There was less sex in it. There was sex, but not as much as in book 1. But there was a story. You found out like why he was that way and all different things. So yeah, a lot of people put this book down, but I really enjoyed it. I think it was my favorite series. It got me back into reading. It's on my bookshelf. Yeah. So that's that one. Okay, question number 8. I never read anything so heartwarming. Name a book or a series that really touched your heart. I'm going to go with a non-fiction book, and I read this 2 years ago, and it is 5 Love Language. I'll put it up here. And you read this one, it has questions in it. You can find out how you like to love someone, and it was really interesting to read. It really touched my heart. I cried in one part. Yeah, so that was a good book to read. Even if your life is great, it's a great book to read. So, okay, question number 9. I never laughed so hard. Name a book that made you laugh out loud. Now, I don't really laugh that much. But there was one book, and it is an erotic book, and it is new adult. So I'm sorry, I don't have any YA books that I laughed at. But this one was really, really funny. And I keep on picking it up. I'm like, I do not own it. I took it out from the library. One day I will probably buy it. But it is The Wall Banger, and I'll put it up here. It was hilarious. There was one point in the book that I was laughing out loud. If you like cats and you like erotica, it was really, really funny. I'm still laughing about what I read. So, yep. So that's one. Okay, question number 10. I never could have made it through childhood without it. Name a favorite childhood book or a book series. The only book that I can think of that I read in childhood was the Judy Blume book. I'll put it up here. It was called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It was when I was a teenager, maybe 13, 12 years old, I read that book. Yeah, I just remember that. I remember reading that very, very young, and it's about puberty and getting your period and all that. So, yeah. I think that was my favorite book that I can remember so far. So, anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye!